episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios. We talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Boy, tell me, have the last 7 days been like the most insane roller coaster ride when it comes to women's reproductive rights? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Y'all, I'm just gonna go straight on into my rant because we gotta talk about it. CNN reports a state judge on Thursday blocked an Indiana law banning abortion at all stages of pregnancy with limited exceptions from being enforced a week after it went into effect. The abortion ban, Senate Bill 1, which was passed over the summer during a special session, took effect on September 15th. In her order, Hanlon wrote that there is reasonable likelihood that decisions about family planning, including decisions about whether to carry a pregnancy to term, are included in the Constitution's protection. The judge, however, did not agree with plaintiffs that the ban violates the Constitution's equal privilege protection by discriminating against abortion providers. Plaintiffs and plaintiffs said that in a joint statement, they're grateful that the court granted much needed relief for patients, clients, and providers, but this fight is far from over. We knew this ban would cause irreparable harm to Hoosiers, and in just a single week, it has done just that, they said. The plaintiffs in the suit are abortion providers Planned Parenthood of Great Northwest, Hawaii, Alaska, Indiana, Kentucky, Whole Women's Health Alliance, Women's Med, Indiana OBGYN, Dr. Amy Caldwell, and the nonprofit All Options, Inc., which operates a pregnancy resource center that includes an abortion fund. And of course, the dude's salary that we pay, the Indiana Attorney General, Todd Rokita, said Thursday that he will appeal because he ain't got nothing else to do. Of course he's going to appeal. Okay, but look, this is a doorway. It's obviously doesn't solve the problems. We still got the fact that they're still passing this kind of nonsense at the State House is problematic. That's why we got to be focused on this election coming up in November. But the stay may actually save lives. I'm just going to throw that out there. There may be some women right now who were struggling or didn't have the resources to go to Illinois, because thank goodness our neighbors over there have the ability to, make sure that can seek access, but someone from Richmond, Indiana may not have been able to go all the way over to Illinois to seek those services. So, for now, it's a state, and we'll let the fight begin. But also something else y'all need to consider. This is a whole lot more tax money being spent to deny people access to reproductive health care. I wish we would take some of that tax money and do something more productive with it. Like, I don't know, high-speed internet in rural Indiana. Still don't have that yet. We still don't have it. So this is kind of some good news, considering last week it was awful. It felt bad. It felt awful. But now we have a little stay, and we can continue to try to work. Guys, I named those organizations on purpose. If you want to donate to those organizations, especially Planned Parenthood, who are fighting those fights, seek them out. Find them, donate to whatever it is that you can donate so that we can continue this fight, because they're fighting this lawsuit for us. So we can, slip them a few coins to let them know that we care if they take donations. So look them up. Again, they are Planned Parenthood of Great Northwest, Hawaii, Alaska, Indiana, Kentucky, Whole Women's Health Alliance, Women's Med, OBGYN, she probably is not taking any donations, and the not-for-profit All Options, Inc. So slip them some coins. All right. Some good news. WISHTV.com reports the House has passed legislation to overhaul the rules for certifying the results of a presidential election as lawmakers accelerate their response to the January 6, 2021 insurrection and 45's failed attempt to remain in power. The bill, which is similar to a bipartisan legislation moving through the Senate, would overhaul an arcane 1800s era statute known as the Electoral Count Act that governs, along with the U.S. Constitution, how states and Congress certify electors and declare presidential election winners. While the process has long been routine and ceremonial, the Orange Menace and a group of his aides and lawyers unsuccessfully tried to exploit loopholes in the law in an attempt to overturn the defeat that he took at the hands of Joe Biden. The legislation would set new parameters around the January 6th joint session of Congress that happens every 4 years after the election. The day turned violent last year. We already know that because they didn't want to believe, and he turned his minions loose. The legislation intends to ensure that future January 6th sessions are as the Constitution envisioned, just a ceremony, and we don't have any more issues. So hopefully, it's going through the Senate. There's enough votes to pass the similar bill, and the same bill that's in the Senate pass along party lines, whatever. We have the majority. I'm glad they're trying to get this through before the election. In the event people want to vote for insurrectionists, election deniers, and people who want to deny, reproductive rights, and we lose the House, because it could happen, right? So we want to make sure that we get this taken care of. Congratulations on them. Plus, I'm glad they're passing this legislation because you know what? Our Secretary of State candidate, the Republican, Diego Morales, this punk chicken guy, I had to pull it back. He's afraid of Destiny Wells. He don't want none of that smoke. He's decided that he is not going to debate. WFYI reports, Republican Secretary of State candidate Diego Morales is resisting calls to participate in a debate. Morales' campaign said his focus is on traveling all 92 counties. They point to the interviews he's done and note there are no congressional debates in Indiana this year, nor in other statewide races for state auditor or treasurer. Libertarian State Secretary of State candidate Jeff Maurer said Morales is hiding. If your ideas are so bad that you can't even stand in front of a crowd of people, of your neighbors, to defend them, then something's wrong. You need better ideas. That's the Libertarian. I know Destiny Wells wants to debate. She ain't never scared. Listen, Diego Morales is horrible. He got fired twice from the Secretary of State's office. Twice. He's an election denier. The legislation they're passing in Congress to protect, the ceremonial January 6th, counting of the votes is necessary because of people like Diego Morales. But if we show up, oh my goodness, and we have a good voter turnout, Destiny Wells will be our next Secretary of State. And that's the person we need to support. So make sure, oh yeah, I got her coming on the show. Don't worry about it. We gonna chop it up. Me and Destiny gonna chop it up. She's coming. So that's my rant. That's the news. Ladies, check yourself, check your health, check your mental health. Because I know we were just on a mental and emotional roller coaster over the last 7 days. We have a lot of events coming up. We're real close to, people ramping up their GOTV efforts to get out the vote. So you have a couple of more weeks to register to vote. If you haven't already done that, of course, everybody that listens to Turn Left has. I'm not even worried about that. But we just got to make sure we turn people out, okay? So there's a lot to do between now and November. So we got to get her done. All right, that's my rant. Indiana's own Dana Black, Turn Left. Listen, I am excited about having my guests on. We're talking about women's reproductive rights, and I think it is so important that we have and elect more women to all areas of government. We are over 51% of the population in the state of Indiana, yet we're around 30% of the elected officials. And that's not even really right. It's more like 27%. So we got to do better about electing more women, because when you have more women at the table, the conversation changes. And in the case of the Secretary of State's race, the intelligence level changes too. Yep, I said it. All right, first up, my guest running out of the Tippecanoe County. I love Tippy. Y'all need to have me up there more often. I'm feeling neglected by Tippecanoe. I'm not scared of Mitch Daniels. I'll just rest my elbow on his head. I'll come up there. I don't mind. Y'all give it up for my first guest running for county council in Tippecanoe County, Lisa Dullam. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. And I was just with her last week up in Huntington County hanging out. Y'all give it up, running for state representative in House District 50, Tammari Ingalls. Tammy, welcome to the show.
Hello. Nice to be here. Yay.
Yay, I'm so glad to have you guys here. So, before we dive into who you guys are and what you're working on, how are y'all feeling after, the law taking effect September 15th and then today, a hold on it? Tell me what you're feeling and what you're going through right now. And Lisa, we'll start with you.
I'm happy that the law is on hold, but I'm still very worried that it's not going to last, and that if we don't get out to vote, we're going to have things like a national abortion ban that Senator Lindsey Graham has proposed. So I'm very concerned that today we talk about Illinois being a place we can go. That may not last. So we need to get people out to vote. So I'm glad it's on hold, but I'm still worried.
Absolutely. Tammy?
I have been stoked about this. I have to say, this when they first floated the idea of an abortion ban in Indiana, I was like energized, and I was down at the State House and throwing my voice out there. I even signed up to testify, but they never got to my name. And it was demoralizing last Thursday, but that just gives me more energy again. And I have to it gives me so much energy. I have to remind myself, okay, take a break now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or else I'll put out too much effort. But yeah, I mean, I was really stoked today. That was exciting news. And of course we knew that they were going to appeal, but that doesn't mean they're going to stop us.
Exactly.
We're not going to stop raising our voices about this.
Exactly. Nor should we. All right, let's dive into you guys, because I want people to fall in love with you and donate to your campaign. Speaking of which, if you like what these ladies are talking about, click on their donation link. I have included their ActBlue donation link. So if you like what they're talking about and you want to support them, $5 goes a long way, y'all. $5. All right, Lisa, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Sure. So I am one of those women who went to the Women's March in 2018 and started to get involved and started looking around my community and realized that there were a lot of things that needed to be fixed. So I, among other things, I decided to run for county council in 2018. And I was elected along with Alana Stonebreaker, and we were the first Democrats elected to the Tippy County Council in 24 years. So that was really an exciting time. We also elected our first sheriff, Democratic sheriff, I think, ever. And so now we're up for re-election. I think we've done some good things. I know on the county council, we've been able to get solar installed for the first time on a building. We've been able to really improve our accountability and transparency. We've got Zoom, everything's on YouTube. We didn't have that before, so people can learn more about what's going on in the county. And the other thing I really care a lot about is voting rights. And we had some pretty bad voting machines in Tippecanoe County that had a lot of issues. We've got new voting machines. So I want to take that and move that forward and continue with, improving voting access, improving transparency. And then of course, we got a big problem with climate.
I love it. I love that you were like, I want to get involved and ran. That means you ran a good race. What was it like the first time you ran? What kind of help did you get?
It was, I was not a political person. I was, I had canvassed for Obama in 2008, but I wasn't really overly involved, but I just felt there wasn't opening. Someone asked me to run. I had been doing work with Indivisible, the Indivisible movement. And someone said, hey, you should run for county council. I had a good financial background. As you probably know, county council does a lot of financial stuff. Mm-hmm. So I felt it was a really good match with my background. And it was fun. It was a lot more fun than I thought. And I really enjoyed the work as well. And I feel like I can add value, which I enjoy.
I love that. And I love that you just didn't, you seem like you didn't have any fear. Like, I love that.
Well, there's a little fear, but I mean, I did have a lot of people that wanted me to do it and supported me, so that made it a lot easier.
So did you have anything before the 2018 March that made you civically engaged? Had you done anything as a young person and when you were in school or anything?
I had done stuff like I'd been a Planned Parenthood volunteer in college, and I had done some rape education stuff in college, and I had been, a big for, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I did a lot of little things. I did canvas for Obama in 2008, but I really was focused on my career and raising my family. And then after Donald Trump was elected, I felt like I just couldn't, I needed to step up my game and do more.
That's what's up. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
There's nothing more wonderful. That's how I got started. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
RIFRA. RIFRA was the thing that lit a fire under my tail. And that they should have never done that. If they didn't want to hear my big mouth, probably shouldn't have done that. Tammy.
And I think
Oh, go
we're
ahead.
seeing that with Dobbs. I think with the Dobbs
Yep.
decision, I think we're seeing a lot more women step up and realize that we need to take control of our country again.
Absolutely. Especially since here in Indiana, we don't have referendums and we don't have ballot initiatives. So we have to make sure that we're electing the right people into office. Tammy,
Absolutely.
tell the people who you are and where you come from.
I live in Wabash. Well, I live outside of Wabash in a nice little old house. And I was born in Texas, but I'm still a seventh generation Hoosier because my dad was in the Air Force. And so when he got out of the Air Force, we came back here, and that's where I've been for 44 years.
Wow.
I love Indiana. And it's taken me a long time to say that, but I really do. I love my home. I met my husband here. I've had a great job, a number of great jobs here. And now I have a wonderful home. I have great friends here. And every once in a while on social media, someone will say, well, if you don't like it here, just move. And I'm like, no,
No,
no, I'm here to change things.
exactly.
So, yeah, I did not, I was petrified when I decided to put my name on the ballot because I kind of had this weird feeling that my opponent would win the primary against Dan Leonard, and she did. And so that's why I'm running. I'm running to keep extremism out of our lawmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, we already know that with a supermajority, it's not balanced.
Right.
We don't need more extremists
Right.
in our state house pulling these kind of decisions farther to the right, farther to a theocracy and an autocracy.
Yep.
So that's why I'm running. And in the many months since then, I have, like I said earlier, been so energized and learning so quickly. And it's just, I just can't wait to get up in the morning and do things now. Right.
I love it.
So I hit my computer and I see who I'm going to talk to today. And then I'm out the door or maybe not necessarily out the door. I'm sitting at my desk, calling people, and it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong in wanting to keep the extremists out of as many extremists out of the state house as possible. We saw the Oath Keepers release last week, the data leak, and we already know that there are elected officials. But was there something else? Like, did you, when you were growing up, I mean, you're obviously a military family, so there's service involved there. Was there anything else that was happening in your youth that student council or anything like that?
Actually, I did run for student council my freshman year, but I lost because the rich kids, they were more popular than me. I came from a poor school. But in 4-H, I was always an office holder. I started out as a treasurer in the 5th grade. And my last 4 years, I was president of our club. Then I went to college and I became president of a couple of clubs in college. and then went to work where my dad worked, which is Haynes International. It's in Kokomo. They call it a steel plant, but steel isn't what they make. It's alloy. And I was a union representative with the steel workers.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, union
So
strong,
yeah,
baby.
I mean, I have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I just never really dreamed I would be going for a public office.
Yeah,
And
you know what, Lisa, I bet you can say the same thing. I bet, you know, long before you got into the race, you probably never thought that you'd be running for office. I never thought, like, I'll be honest, I thought I wasn't like able to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought you had to have like all of these credentials and titles and years of, and I was like, oh, no. And then when you run, you realize that some of the people that are in office are kind of idiots, you know, and it's
to say the least.
to say the least. And so we see, we see where the State House, a lot of people focus in on what's going on at the Fed level because it's, you know, national news. It always gets all the hype, but we already know a lot of the stuff that's happening is in the State House and down. Talk about Lisa, when you're out in the community and you're talking to your constituents, you know, you ran a good race last time. You've made some good strides on that council, and now you're out campaigning again. What are your constituents talking to you about?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think when you look at Tippecanoe County, we're the home of Purdue, so we're in a pretty good position, right? We've got a growing community. We've got Purdue's doing pretty well, and we can talk about Mitch Daniels if you want. We have some long-term, and financially, we're in a pretty good position compared to a lot of counties in Tippecanoe. But my concern is, and I think a lot of people's concern is, what does the future hold for us when you've got things like, who's going to want to go to Purdue when you've got an abortion ban? Like that is a big concern. Who's going to want to move here? We know we've got college educated people come to Indiana, get college educated, and then they leave.
Yeah.
More than, you know, we're at the low end of the states. So those types of decisions that are being made at the Indiana State House are impacting us and are going to be impacting us, you know, depending on what happens with this abortion ban in the future. So those are some of the concerns that I see.
That's interesting because, you know, I find it, and when you get in the State House, maybe, Tammy, you can ask them why they don't understand that quality of life and how people, you know, want to exist in the world has as much to do as that AAA rating, if not more. Because I know a lot of people around the state don't care that Indiana has a AAA rating. Why do we all pay attention? Why don't our Republican leaders understand the importance of quality of life? Tammy, what do you think?
Oh, Dana, that is like the $1 million question.
Isn't it?
I don't understand why they don't. You know, Indiana is dead last in both water and air pollution. And they, you know, the Republicans in the State House don't even want to address it. You know, we're third from the bottom in maternal mortality. And they don't want to address it. They just want to make it worse. You know, we've shown them the numbers. We've explained to them how an abortion ban will make those numbers spike. You know, it's like we're reaching for number one, or, you know, the bottom of the barrel.
Right? We want to be like Mississippi. You know,
But
I mean,
I think it all boils down to, they have this idea entrenched in their minds that the better we make it for business by offering tax breaks and, you know, cheap labor.
Cheap labor.
Yeah.
But
You know,
but see, the thing about that is like, you know, we lose business opportunities, right? We lose them.
Right.
Like we heard, you know, the Eli Lilly CEO say, look, I can't even expand the high tech stuff here because we don't have, the workforce ready to go. So I'm going to go somewhere else and I'm going to tailor the work that's in Indiana because I'm not going to leave home, but I'm going to tailor it to low skilled, low wage labor. The quality of life in Indiana is suffering more than anything else. I think I was talking to one of my coworkers this week, and people outside of Indiana don't even realize like we have cities, or they don't even realize like that we have, a strong Jewish community in different parts of the state. And it's because of the image that our state house is putting out there. I think places like Tippecanoe County, Marion County, Allen County, Lake County, we are the counties that are actually, providing the economic stimulus, Monroe County to other counties. So Tammy, when you're talking to your constituents, what are they saying to you about all the things that could be happening? Because you're in a much more rural type of county, right? Or district, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're fairly rural. We have Wabash is a small city, but it's an up and coming arts enclave.
Oh, like an Austin.
So there is, yeah, it's like that a little bit. And every day, I kid you not, Dana, every day somebody comes up and says, "I didn't realize there were Democrats in this county."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just freaks me out. It really does. And I'm like, yeah, we're here and we're trying to get really loud.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I invite them to come to meetings. I invite them to talk to their friends. And I always give everybody a fistful of my cards. I say, talk to your friends, please.
That's what we got to do.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Well, that's the best way for us to get the message out. I mean, so, because a lot of people don't realize how sprinkled throughout the state that we are, but if we get them all to turn out, we can make some changes. Like you were able to do, Lisa, in 18 by being the first in 24 years, you and your cohort being the first in 24 years getting elected. When you're working, because you have to work across the aisle, talk about some of the tactics that you're using, Lisa, to get some of the things that you want to work on and how you're able to work across the aisle.
Well, I think it's about working on the problems and listening to the other side. I mean, I would say on the county council, we all work pretty well together and we all have there are things that I think are more important than maybe somebody else does, but I think we're able to listen to each other and come up with compromises that, we haven't had a lot of contentious issues that way on the council. So I've been kind of lucky that way, I would say. And I think when you get down to the lowest level of government, it's really about getting the work done. And I think that's one of the advantages about working at the lowest level of government. It's not so much about if you have a D or an R next to your name, it's more about what's the work. The problem that I see is that, it's like you said, people don't know that we have Democrats in Indiana. Well, we have a lot of Democrats in Indiana, and we need to be better organized, and we need to be showing up, and we need to be, having one of the things that we do as part of my Indivisible group is, we have social events, and people just want to sometimes just come out and maybe not canvas or work on something, but they just want to know that there's other people like them and share friendships. And that's how you build strong communities. You look at other big movements that have happened, that's, like civil rights or women's rights or any of those big movements. It's about having a community and building together. And I think we need to do more of that in Indiana, more Dems reaching across to Dems and finding ways for us to talk. So I'm really glad that you're doing something like this, Dana. This is great. This is one of those things we need to be doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So, I feel that community. Tell us about a time when you did something, either you did something for a constituent or you had a conversation with a constituent that changed how you did what you were going to do, or maybe even something that you're most proud of in relationship to, working with a constituent.
Oh boy, with a constituent.
It could be constituents.
Well, I think, in one of the neat things we have here in West Lafayette is there was this really awesome active climate group in the West Lafayette High School who did some really great activities, and they were really wanting to have a climate plan for the community. And so it was really great to have them be part of the groups that were coming up and saying, we need things like solar. We need to address these issues. So it was, nice when we had a bond where we did a big building project. And as part of that, we set aside money specifically for solar, knowing that, there were people in the community that were asking for us to start stepping up around climate change and getting ready for that. And we've talked a lot about mitigating that I have talked a lot about mitigating that with different people and what we're going to do. So,
and it's interesting, a place like Tippecanoe County, one of the best engineering schools in the country. You would think, there would be a little bit more technology and solar influences.
Yeah. So right when I started, I just started on the council, and I was on the area plan commission, and right before I had really gotten into it, up before us came a windmill ban in the county. And I'm sorry to say that did pass. We did ban the windmill. That didn't come before the council. That was a commissioner's decision. And the people in West Lafayette particularly were really, which is the district I represent, by the way, on the council. I am the representative from District 4, which is basically the city of West Lafayette. They're really upset about that. I did vote against it, but on the area plan commission, but it did pass. And so that was why it was so important that we turned around and we did do a solar, did do the solar panels. The area plan commission also did do a solar plan, so that when people wanted to come in and put commercial solar systems in Tippecanoe County, we had a plan so that we wouldn't have a situation like this happen again. But it is still a sore spot in the community that this county has banned windmills.
Yeah, and so when I drive up 65 and I get past Tippecanoe County and I see all the windmills, I'm like, and also what I think they miss out on is those farmers. They can lease that land and they can make some money, especially since we know that the big farm companies are chewing up all the land. And if you want to talk about climate and climate change, talk to a farmer.
Yeah. And Tippecanoe is one of the windiest counties in the country. That's the other thing. It is a good place to work.
Wow.
So
I'm not smart like that. So I didn't know that. Wow. You will learn things here on Turn Left. Indiana's all day in the black. Turn Left. You are going to learn things on this show. And I've had a few candidates from the Tippy area, which I'm really excited about. So, okay, let's move forward a little bit. Tammari, you've not been elected yet, but you see, what's happening in that state house. Tell us about 3 key issues that you want to work on when you get there.
Well, one of the things that came to my mind when Lisa was talking was that bans can be reversed. So hopefully she'll get some more Democrats on that commission and get that overturned. My goodness, how ridiculous. And then what are they afraid of? Windmill cancer?
Right. Maybe they're worried about turning orange.
The first thing I want to do is to reverse this abortion ban. Let's bring some sanity back that supports women's freedom of choice. Mm-hmm. We're talking about personal freedoms. They like to talk about all their personal freedoms that they think they're losing, which they're not. But let's talk about women's personal freedoms. Let's talk about all the rights that we have lost. I mean, can you name one single medical treatment that is denied to men? No. There is. No. So, that's my big issue. My second issue is schooling, public education. my big tagline is quality public education is the foundation of a stable society. I believe that with all my heart. And I'm living proof that it is true.
Mm-hmm.
So that's right there behind women's rights. You know, number 2 is public education. Let's reverse all this defunding they've been doing. Let's stop giving private organizations and religious organizations our tax money and put it where it's supposed to go. You know,
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, you know, when I'm not just talking about the schools in my district. I'm talking about schools in inner city Indianapolis and Gary,
Yeah.
Fort Wayne, Evansville.
Yeah.
Let's take care of all these kids equally.
Yeah. Well, and you know what, before we jump off of that, you know, what I find the most interesting is that, you know, you have these people who want to come in and siphon money out of public schools, and they want to, you know, tout this school choice, and they're targeting, you know, Black and brown communities. We recognize that, right? We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But the unintended consequence, and I want to make sure that I say this as often as I can because I want people to repeat it when I'm done talking about it. In rural Indiana, they don't have no school choice. There's like
No, they
one
don't?
school corporation. There's one corporation. All the kids go to the same school, but now they have to operate with less money because all the public funds are in the same pot.
Yep. Yep.
But in Indianapolis, where you're trying to steal money for Black and brown people, they got choices. It's the rural kids that don't have choice. I just want to make sure I throw that out every time somebody talks about public education. Hit them on the head with it.
Yeah. I do know that, I mean, they aren't big schools, but there are religious schools in both Huntington and Wabash. There is that option, but that's it.
That's it. We've got like 30 charter schools in Indianapolis,
Right.
plus the public schools, plus the parochial schools, plus the private schools.
Mhm.
That's choice. You said, well, we might have a Catholic school in Wabash, and I got 4 schools within walking distance from me. They don't have that in rural Indiana. That's all I'm saying. We need to be hitting on the fact that the same legislators who swear they care about rural Indiana are actually taking from rural Indiana to give to their homies. That's all I'm saying. All right, what's the next thing? Keep going. Keep going.
One of the things I've learned in the last few months is that as much as Republicans like to say they are the party of low taxes, they aren't. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys this, but I have found so many different places where they hide the taxes, but you're being taxed anyway, right?
What do you mean?
I
Wait,
mean,
wait,
the
whoa,
gas
whoa,
tax is
stop.
when we
What you
become known-
mean?
Well, the gas tax is one example. Until June, we didn't know there was a gas tax that much, right? So, you know, how long have we gone with a 50 cents on every gallon tax that we've been paying?
So you're saying,
That's what I'm talking about. And there are other places where there are hidden taxes.
I get what you're saying. You're saying we don't recognize as consumers how they're taxing the working class people while they're giving those humongous tax breaks to multi-billion-dollar organizations. I get what you're saying. Okay.
Exactly.
So you want to work on how we are tax reform? Is that what I'm hearing from a Democrat?
I want to make it. I mean, I'm not great with economics. Okay, I'm a scientist. So those are the kind of numbers I like to work with. But I'm a quick learner, and you know, having found these issues, I'm like, okay, let's talk to people who know more than I do, and get their input.
Yeah.
Okay, on how we can make things better and simplify the tax code in Indiana. And another thing is they tax your income tax from the feds. How is it they do that when you get a refund from federal?
They're saying they tax the tax refund.
Yeah.
Well, you know they're going to tax the loan forgiveness too.
Yes, that's just cruelty. I think they just did that because a Democratic president did that.
Oh my, yeah, that's it. So let me ask, wait a minute. You said something that you left out in your who you are and where you come from. You said you're a scientist. What is your background? What kind of science are you into? Because we need more scientists in the State House.
When I went to Kokomo High School, graduated with honors, and the thing is, I hard classes. I was always taking the hard classes, and everyone wondered why I didn't get straight A's. I was A's and B's. Don't get me wrong.
That's better than me.
You know, it was the thing is, from the time I was a child, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be a horse veterinarian specifically.
Okay.
And so I just put myself on that track. And so I went to IU and I earned a bachelor's degree in biological physical sciences. Well, the going to vet school didn't pan out. And that's a whole nother story. It'll be in my autobiography.
Yeah, save it for the book deal.
Yeah. So I ended up going to work, I told you, at the same plant my dad worked at. And I became a sort of a metallurgist, but I was
what?
Quality control and research and development, and worked in the chemistry lab for a number of years.
Okay.
Before I went and worked on the what we call on the floor or on the production lines.
Okay.
And became a steel worker.
Okay.
So that's my experience being a scientist, but it's something that never goes away. I study, something new in the news or in Scientific American, and I read, excuse me a minute.
Well, while you're taking a sip, I find it interesting that you studied, biology. It seems to me like you would be a better person in the State House, to vote on women's reproductive rights since you actually studied biology.
Actually, I'm working on an opinion piece.
Okay, well, save it. Don't tell us about it yet. In relation
to women.
You're like an onion. Like, it's you got layers. And Lisa, we're peeling back those layers. You got layers. Lisa, I want to switch to you real quick. Moving forward, because we never can hang our hats on what we've done. We got to focus on what we want to do. Talk about the 3 things that you want to do for Tippecanoe County once you're reelected.
So I definitely want to keep pushing with the solar. So we've got it on one building, right? So we need to think about the current buildings we have, so finding money for that. I also want to keep making sure we're transparent, and even though that seems like that's an easy thing to do, we need to keep moving forward on that. And then voting. So we've got new machines, but people still don't know. I spent a lot of time registering voters. I want to make sure that the election board is making it easy for people to vote, making sure we have good places for people to vote. We're a vote center county. So that's, another place. And then, we are continuing to spend our money responsibly. I do want to bring up one thing, Dana.
Sure.
You mentioned earlier in the talk about internet access for the entire rural area of Indiana.
Yes.
And, Joe Biden and the Democrats passed the American Rescue Plan, and we got money, $38 million into Tippecanoe County from the American Rescue Plan. We are using $14 million of that money to get access to every rural area. Everywhere in Tippecanoe County will have broadband.
That is so awesome. I couldn't be happier. I mean, I'm a tech by, trade. I went to school for information systems. And so for me, technology and connecting people, with this new tech is what I'm passionate about. And when I keep hearing, they make these promises, our lieutenant governor made the promise in 2017 what she was going to do, and she's going to work on this thing, and we still don't have it. She's full of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's our people who are suffering. That's like saying there's no plumbing or there's no electricity. I mean, it's the same. I need people to understand this is a utility now. This is a
Yeah.
utility. This is not a luxury. It's not. Remember when cell phones were a luxury? When they were the big bricks, right? They were the big bricks. Now, after 9/11, what happened? Oh, everybody needs a cell phone. Everybody, we need to make cell phones more affordable, make them, accessible to even, folks who are not on the high end of the salary spectrum. Same thing with high speed internet. I'm not talking about dial up. Give me no daggone. I'm talking about high speed, reliable internet fiber. You know.
And that's what Democrats do. They help people. And that's why I'm a Democrat, and I'm proud to be a Democrat. And I'm really excited about what we did, what Joe Biden and the Democrats did to help this country and help everybody, including those people that didn't necessarily vote for him, but they're helping everybody.
Absolutely. Right, Tammy? We always going to help people that don't want to vote for us.
Right. I mean,
they're Americans.
That's what I tell folks is that, even if you don't vote for me, even if you don't like my ideas, I still care about you because you're my neighbor. Everybody in my district is my neighbor, right? That's the Hoosier value that I grew up with. Okay. I can't think any other way. You need help. I'm going to help you. I'm not going to say, who'd you vote for before I help you? No. I'm glad to help you.
I love it. So there's, as of late, we've been seeing a lot of unions taking the reins and, not settling for the okey doke. Sure. I mean, Starbucks, Amazon, the railroad workers. I mean, the unions are like showing up. Do you think there's an opportunity for us as Democrats to work with those union brothers and sisters again? Because remember, it used to be, big business, Republican, unions, Democrats, and we were all synonymous. And in 2016, and we lost a lot of our union brothers to that other side. I don't know why, because everything that they've ever done on the right side, on the right of politics, has been to dismantle collective bargaining and union busting. As you guys are in your communities, do you think that, and Tammy, you can go first, do you think there's an opportunity for us to reconnect with our union brothers and sisters?
I absolutely do. And the thing about doing that is we have to get the message right. Because, you mentioned these laws that essentially bust unions. And I'm thinking right to work. That messaging is right there in the name of the law. It's the right, it's not right to work. And you have lost rights, because of that law. And it is the biggest factor in why we've lost so many union jobs over the last 20 years.
Yep.
And so that's the messaging we need to get out there to union people or people considering going to a union. Too often I hear is, well, unions are corrupt. Well, every single organization has some ability to be corrupt. It's up to membership to fight back against corruption,
But I mean, so, that argument is so bogus because
it comes from the right. This is one of the tools they've used.
But why do we let them use that tool?
It's wrong to be a union member.
But why do we let them use that tool when Enron? Can we talk about businesses being corrupt? Can we talk about how Amazon treats its workers because they weren't unionized? I mean, it's so. Oh, I'm sorry. Once you make 6-figure salaries, you're no longer assholes. Damn, that slipped. My bad, y'all. But it was like I hate that. I hate that we let them get away with, well, unions are bad, unions are corrupt. They're no more corrupt than any person who has committed white-collar crime and stole money from elder. Brett Favre stole money from poor people.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
In the poor state, in the union, a city that has, a state where the city has no clean running water, but they want to talk about unions. Okay, but anyway, well, at least since most projects that happen in communities are voted on at the council level and those funds are dispersed. I mean, I don't know. Talk about how we can be connected with these unions and getting some of these projects Is that something that you think about, or?
Well, I think a lot of the construction that, and that's an excellent question. I think a lot of the construction that is done in Tippecanoe County is done with union work.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about particularly this city of Lafayette is building a new building, and I know that I've seen them advertise that it's being built with the union. But again, it goes back to the state house and the right to work laws and the federal level, and making it hard for unions to flourish in this country the way they did in the 50s and 60s, when everyone, a lot of people could get a good, not everyone, but a lot of people could get a good job. I grew up in a union house.
I did too.
And it's just, when we've seen the numbers, they're not like they used to be. So I'm glad to see Starbucks, and I'm glad to see what's going on in Amazon, and but we need to make it easier for people to form unions.
And I know that there have been people who have tried to say that unions have been racist in the past, but then I'm gonna be honest, everything in America was racist in the past. Everything. So I'm not tossing out the whole country, so I'm not gonna toss out unions. But right now, unions are the great equalizer.
Yes.
It is. That's
Unions are what built the middle class.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in a household where mom didn't graduate high school until she was 21. Daddy never graduated high school, but daddy had a union job, and my mother was the smart one. And I lived, I tell people all the time, I lived a relatively charmed life. We never wanted for nothing. I wasn't hungry. I didn't, I had my own room with my black and white television. I was a happy girl. So unions is the equalizer. And I want to make sure that we as Democrats always talk about that, especially now with that activity that's happening around the country. The railroad union, they didn't even have any sick days. It's crazy. That to me, that's corruption, that you would want your employee to work nonstop and not give them a day off. That's corruption, if you ask me. All right, y'all. You know what? We've come towards the end of the show. So, Lisa, tell the people where they can find you via social media and any events that you might have coming up.
So you can find me on Facebook at Dullam for County Council, or or I'm also got a website, Dullam for County Council. It's pretty straightforward. I'll just be out canvassing. I'm going to be doing postcarding, and I'll be in a county council meeting next Tuesday. So my county council email is ldullam@tippecanoe.in.gov.
What's your favorite part of campaigning?
It's talking to people. And sometimes I have to be a little bit careful because, it is a job that's dealing with a lot of money, and I can get a little bit nerded out because I enjoy the numbers and those things. So, but it's just talking about local government. So many people don't know how their local government works, and I just love telling them and explaining it.
Well, I can listen to you talk about it all day. You did not nerd out on me. I appreciate it. I mean, and your energy and your love for your community just it comes through. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep the work up. Lisa, I just did Lisa. Tammy, tell the people where they can find you.
I am on Facebook, and I'm on here.
Oh, I got your logo up, boo.
Okay. I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter, and I have a TikTok, but I don't use it very much because I don't know how. I'm not a techie. I am a techie, and I refuse to download TikTok on any of my devices. And granted, we don't know what code is doing what, but at least I know Zuckerberg is really going, he's an American, and he's not going take my information and find loopholes to bomb us. I'm just saying. I don't do TikTok, but y'all go ahead. Tick and talk it away. But anyway, and what events you got coming up? On Monday night, Wabash County Dems are having a town hall. Meet us at Wings at 7 o'clock. I think it's at 6 or 7.
Okay.
Then on October 11th, the Wabash Dems will be having another town hall meet and greet in North Manchester at the library there.
I love it. I love it. And what's your favorite part of campaigning?
Meeting people, and when they get excited about, oh my gosh, there's a Democrat running. And one of the things I tell them, and this is really funny, they look at my card and they say, well, what are you? As in what party? And I'm like, well, first, I'm an American. Second, I'm a Hoosier. I'm a wife and an aunt and a mom to furry critters. And somewhere along the line, I'm a Democrat, because I don't put party over everything else.
No one, you know what? I don't put party over everything either, but I'm a proud Democrat. Like,
no, I'm not saying I'm not proud to be a Democrat, but I gotta, remind people, so many times I've gotten some people say, well, that Nancy Pelosi and oh my gosh, AOC. I'm like, well, they're in Washington. I just want to go to Indianapolis. I'm not Nancy. I'm not AOC or any of those. I'm Tammy from the Sticks.
Yeah. And when we start telling them, like, I love meeting people who, are like, oh, you're a D. So but I talk about, well, how about this? We did this. We brought you some money. We got you this. We got you the vaccines. We did you this. We did that. And it's like the other people, they got in office. First thing they did was give themselves a tax cut. We get in office, we get an infrastructure plan, we get built back better. And so I let them talk about they don't like D's, but then I let them talk about how they like all the things that D's give them.
Sometimes I hear, well, that border, it's a problem. I'm saying we're in Indiana. We're not going to work on a border in Indianapolis.
Well, and here's the thing. Today, because of all of the Trump nonsense that was going on. Well, not nonsense. I'm actually the New York AG. I'm super excited about. I watched her press conference yesterday, and she talked about the lawsuit that she's filing for $250 million against the Trump organization and wants to prevent them from being able to buy and sell property in New York for the next 5 years. I just loved it. I love listening to her because I don't understand why it's a black woman prosecutor in Atlanta and a black female attorney general in New York who have the big enough ovaries to go after this Trump organization, because apparently balls don't get you nowhere. I'm just saying, right. I'm going to let that, I'm just saying, because, you got to have ovaries because these black women are bringing it to them. They are not scared. But I forgot, I got on a tangent because it's just a wonderful thing, right? You talk about the corruption and these people being all corrupt and they just, I love it. I forgot what I was going to say because I just got on the black woman power law. Like, don't you just wish some of those other people who, like Lindsey Graham, he's such a wishy-washy little sucker, but they in Washington. We need that kind of moxie right here in Indiana. And I think both of you guys have that. And we need some scientists in that state house because apparently, and you studied biology. You could probably teach those fellas a thing or two about the woman's body.
If they want to learn.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't think they do.
But be a, I get it, but, they like to intimidate us and make us, because we're kind people, right? We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to make them uncomfortable. We do what we can to make our fellow citizen comfortable. But I'm not going to do that no more, because me trying to make you comfortable could be harmful to my health.
That's right.
It is what it is. All right, y'all. Hey, listen, Indiana's own Dana Black Turn Left. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. If you are not paying attention, make sure you find a way to support Thomas McDermott, Mayor Thomas McDermott. Listen, there's Senator Todd Young can talk about that poll is not reliable and that, he's going to win by a long shot. All I know is that I've seen back to back Todd Young commercials Do y'all know how much money it costs to run a commercial
He's
on
desperate.
national TV?
Mm.
He's running commercials back to back to back. Somebody nervous. Somebody ain't so sure they gonna win because they spending a lot of money for a race that they think they got in the bag. I'm gonna be real honest. When I ran against Brian Bosman, I didn't get him to spend not 1 cent. He didn't spend not 1 penny. He knew he was safe. Todd Young is spending a lot of money. So y'all find Thomas McDermott. Find a way to support him in his campaign. Obviously, Jessica McClellan and Zanae Brooks, make sure you're supporting all 4 of our statewide candidates because there's an opportunity for us to flip all those seats because those are not based on districts. They're not based on gerrymandering. We have an opportunity to send a Democrat to the U.S. Senate. Now, one other race that I want us all to pay attention to before we hang up today. The 1st Congressional District with Frank Mervan. Okay? I know y'all like Lake County's good. You know, we always go blue, blah, blah, blah. Don't rest on that. You know, they found themselves a good old magette. What's a magette? You remember the Ronettes? It was the black girl group that, you know, Ronnie Spector had. You know what I'm saying? They call them the Ronettes. Well, you know, they always can find some black chick somewhere to be magettes. You know, black women that support the Orange Menace. They exist. You know, we're not a monolith. You know, but if you get I always say elect women and I always say like black women, but some black women should stay their behinds out of office. And the girlfriend that's running up there in District 1, they found them a good maggot because her resume looks good. I need y'all to understand, some people do vote because someone is black. Ain't nothing wrong with it because, you know, how many times do white people vote because they're just white? It happens. It's okay. But we can't let too many of them do it. So if you can, I need you guys to donate. If you're going to give some money to Congressman Carson, hold it. Get that money to Frank Mervan. So Representative Mervan can use some help. He needs our help to make sure that he retains that seat. They have actually said that seat is a toss-up. My dude, Andre, Congressman Carson, he good. He good, right? Let's go. We only have 2 Democrats that we send to Washington, y'all. Only 2. So we got to protect that seat and flip that McDermott seat so that we can get some better representation in DC. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure that you find out where the events are. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to my Spotify, and I have more candidates coming on because I want to make sure that I'm talking about how fantastic we Democrats are until November the 8th. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black. I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.